Well, good morning. Happy Monday. Happy mandatory Monday. Mandatory pick six, Gulfstream Park. We'll talk through it. Um, most honestly, I would say a significant number of tickets will probably single in race nine. It makes a lot of sense, but I there is a carryover. And then they have multi-race bets too. With there's a Parks Gulfstream bet, but I'm not a big Parks fan, so probably will not participate there. But early, there's I think a couple of probably strong opinions you can lean on. Let's dive in. We won't make this long, but mandatory pick six again for a Monday. Monday racing at Gulfstream Park. They are on the turf, Tapeta main track. Um, I thought the first race was wide open. I would be spread here in the pick five. I narrowed it to those six. I was 6-3-2 as my top three, but I think the 7-5-1 all have a shot. I won't spend a lot of time dissecting this one. It's just really competitive, honestly. A 5 furlong sprint, turf sprints can always be difficult. The one can win up front, the five can win up front. I do think the six, that's what I put on top. 6-3 are my top two picks. So if you want to go narrow, um, but I thought the speed might back up, might benefit somebody with tactical speed. You can see on the Equinix race sim that they have horses closing. You can see how much money the two is taking with no scratches. 17 minutes to post and is already bet down to 7-2. So that horse fits, but not. I don't have a lot of strong opinion in the first race. So I'd be spread playing horizontal. Let's go race two. Couple scratches. Fear going to take a lot of action. You can see Carcon 38% on the Equinix win percent, which is live. And I also like the six. I was 164 here. I narrowed it to those three. If the 4 and 6 absolutely destroy and duel each other up front at this level, the 17-5 flamer, I think the 1 could be the horse that sits the trip, not Beauty Bolt, the 7 on the outside, but I think the 1, Carcon, could be the one who sits the trip. That's who I put on top. Edwin Gonzalez rides second off the claim for Mr. Victor Barbosa, sitting second in wins, but Jose D'Angelo right behind him. But Victor Barbosa with 26, you can see comes in from similar levels, has been at 5.5, but now gets back to 5, but has been right there off the pace, and if that pace backs up from Fear, and about the six, 6 beat Fear, but a lot of people I know like 4 from what I've heard, but I think that horse can be beat, so it's not a single for me. I'm 164 again. I think the 1 could sit the trip at a nice price for any horizontal bets and or exacta bets. Race 3, so I think you can single here or you can single in race 4. One or the other, both maybe. If Adios Tootsie's just fast. And so at this allowance level, you will see how fast she is. I mean, she got over a 2-length lead at the first call, and she continually keeps that and or expands it almost up to 3 lengths. I like when horses do that on the Equinix race simulator. You can see she's 3-5 on the morning line. She's got the top genetic strength ratings for our surface and distance metric, and a 25-point pace advantage. So from both of those situations, she's going to be extremely dangerous up front for Yates. Beat a 62 group last out. Going to have to improve off of that effort, but I don't think anybody can catch her. It is a short field. They scratch down to just 4 runners, but I think she has a big chance on the main track to just run them off their feet. The 4 are going to take money, run second there, and then, the 3 and 6. But I thought that Adios Tootsie run them off their feet. And then underneath, I do think Epigram can run a good race to 6 horse. So watch that in exacta. But I think the 1 definitely a candidate for a single. on the main track, on the rail. And again, you get Diego Herrera, second wins behind Sammy Camacho. Two of those guys are kind of dominating at the meet so far. So, Adios Tootsie, potential single. And then the other one is here, Long Blanche Lou. You play the daily double too. Hillbilly Bob up front. I think going 2 turns here, I think it probably sets up pretty good for Long Branch Lou. The only other horse I really liked in this race was the 6. So I was 3-6. I do think that again, Long Branch Lou could get dream pace up, set up, top genetic strength rating, comes running off the pace. There's nobody else really there, in my opinion, other than the 6, right? Peace through strength. But and if I remember right, that might be the Safi runner. It is, and Micah rides. I mean, Safi leading at wins. He got 37, 11 more than anybody else. Nobody gonna catch him for the training tab. And Safi owns this one, right? So I think if you're playing horizontals, you're singling the 1 in race 3 or the 3 in race 4, in my opinion. If you go to race 5, I do not trust Strike here. It gotta be a short price on the main track. I think the 2-3 can run. You could deep spread if you wanted. There's no work video on any of these horses, so we're just working with timed works, but they look fit. Whether it's the 2 or 3, Sammy Camacho rides the 3, I believe. Oh no, Ocasio rides the 3, and then Miguel Vasquez rides the 2. Strike being ridden by Edwin Gonzalez, who does great on speed horses. The problem, this horse is just continually burned money and stops up front. So going to be dangerous, has a pace advantage. But for a bunch of firsters, I mean, the 4, 5, and 8 have a little bit of interest too. You can see on our genetic strength rating, they're all kind of right there. But yeah, the 5th race pretty wide open because there's not a lot to look for from a work perspective. So it made that race a little bit difficult. But that's race 5. The pick 6 does start in race 4, right? So, for me, I'm only 1 or 2 deep there. I definitely would be using a few here. And then the next 2 races I thought were pretty competitive. I think you can find some prices. Race 6, I was 3-2-1. If you're deep spreading 5-4-8. So 3-2-1 were my top picks. 5-4-8. I think the 4 probably backs up, but if they let Walking in Memphis loose up front, could be dangerous at a big price. Act a Fool also fits, but oh sorry, not I was 3-2-6-1 and then 4-5. My apologies. 3-2-6-1. If you're deep spread 4-5, right? I mean, you're gonna get prices on both the 4 and 5. I think the 3-2-1. We could probably watch that from here. I think that they all could sit a good trip from the inside on the turf and sit nice, good stocking trips. Ironside's the top pick. Safi has the 6. I think this horse probably get over bet, so watch yourself. But I do think this horse fits. But the win percent show this race is wide open. And again, if the 4 gets loose, might be dangerous out front. But I think somebody with tactical speed probably wins this race. I'm taking the inside runners versus the outside runners. They're going to be a little bit of a shorter price than the 7, 8, 9. But I think one of them can sit the trip. You look at Ironsides, comes from similars, runs some good races. I think you can toss the 11 Furlong. Morelos gets aboard for Gutierrez. Second off or first off the layoff was a short layoff here. I think fits. Paris Surprise, Reyes, and Barbosa comes out of a tougher stakes race, gets back to easier company, and I would say fits more with this group. And then I actually put a Mythical Man up top. Sammy Camacho rides for Chapman, drops a couple points in strength of race. If you're an E user, you can see my notes here, but I think this horse could sit a really good trip. I know has burned some money, but these were versus tougher. And now in the Chapman barn, did not run last out, but that's okay. I don't mind that. You look here, ridden wide, tired. I like that they come right back. They stay. They are in for a tag, but versus a similar group, I think's a live long shot. I mean, has run well. The rail is out at 38 feet today. So for me, I'm looking for some people. Try to have tactical speed, sit right off that early pace. But if they let the 4 loose, the 4 dangerous up front. 3-2-6-1 deep spread 4-5. Man, tough 7 furlong, 10K claimer, non-winners at 2. I do have Street Sue on top. Is speed, gets help from a couple of scratches. The outside runners are the picks. That's where I went 9-11-3, and then if you're spreading 5-4 as well. The 9 could get loose up here. Again, the scratches help. These are some brutal posts, but as long as you have early speed, you can find a spot. You can see the E morning line angle on Lady Chance. Both Street 2 and Lady Chance getting back over to the main track. And then Sweet Agenda to the outside has Pedro Pena, the apprentice, who rode really well last Monday. So watch him, obviously, again. He's been riding really, really well. But Street Sue, Sammy Camacho, Carlos David, they're taking a big drop. 8 points, 10 points in SOR, finds an easier spot, should be able to get to the lead. Couldn't get to the lead in both those recent efforts. And I think could get to the front here and just run them off their feet, honestly. Could be tough. Lady Chance, another outside runner. Coy off the claim. They're also dropping. So my top picks are coming from tougher races on the drop. You could see I cut a bunch. I could cut more. A lot of people like Lady Zany, but I think this horse gonna get over bet. And one of these outside runners, you can show some early speed or tactical speed, could be dangerous. Again, the 11 and 13 just need to show some speed and get over, because not easy to win from out there. Yeah, 9, 11, 13, and then 5, 4 would be a deep ad. All right, we got what, 2 more? I like 7-3-5 here. 6 may fill it. 7 might be a single. If for me, probably I'm gonna look really hard at Long Branch Lou in race 4, the 3 horse, and then maybe you go to even with the 6. You could single Brother Brad here, or you could single in the last. We'll get there in a minute. So I don't think you have to spend a lot today. In my opinion, I don't think it's going to pay gigantic like it did last week. Could be wrong, but we're bottom level here. Brother Brad romps. That's a high win percent. But in my opinion, this really is not the greatest 6-2-5 claimer group. We look at Brother Brad, won 2 in a row. Not easy at the bottom level to win 3, but Jose claimed he's been doing really well, as I mentioned, up to 3rd in wins. He's really heating up at the Royal Palm Meet. Great claim. I think can get this one with Diego. They get a scratch. It's just a 6-horse field. Should sit a good trip. If doesn't win, Jade's J had a little bit of a look for Van Winkle, also dropping a couple points in SOR, 2 points there. I think could sit a good trip. And then Dime Poppy with Pedro Pena as well. This would be my live long shot in the race. So, I'd I'd probably go narrow in the first leg, and then, here maybe narrow. I haven't fully put a ticket together, but Brother Brad could be a single again on the drop, but I'm only using a couple others if I don't go narrow here. And then in the last, I would, in my opinion, a majority of people are probably singling this horse, and it makes a lot of sense. I only like the 2 and 5 outside the 1. The 5 Smart Strikers, the Scotty Longshot, and I do think Captain has a little bit of a look. The only way that Jayhawk gonna lose is if it gets a little bit of a slow break, probably, and takes pressure. The rail is out at 38 feet. That concerns me of horses like the 9, gonna be way outside. I don't think the 3 really fits here. If the 1 does stop for whatever reason, to me, it's the 2 or 5, Captain or Smart Striker. You can see, I always tell people, if you don't like a horse, you can always cut it, and the 2 wins the race sim. But you look at Jayhawk, here's the thing. 1 last out on the lead. It's another 38-foot rail for Bobby DeBona. Diego rides, having a great meet, 2nd in wins, speed of the speeds, won back-to-back races on the Gulfstream turf. This horse is going to be tough to beat. Again, traditionally has broke well. has not run on the rail in a while and not on the turf here. You can see back here did run on the rail on the Tapeta. That was a much tougher race, but beat a 62 here. But here's the thing. The 2-horse, again, it has beaten a 62 way back here. Castro's super sneaky, and he owns here. He also trains, not uncommon, the JC Racing stable. That's his stable. He claims horses and runs them. I mean, if this horse can run back to those turf efforts, and if anybody can press Jayhawk or something happens, can run back to that form and has run back-to-back good races for O Captain. So, for me, it's not going to pay much if the one wins, right? So it's like, is there any way to beat this horse? There might be. That's a high win percent. But if that horse falters, the 2, and then we talked about Smart Striker, the 5. I like the 2 a little bit more, but the long shot, 1.5 up at Tampa coming off the pace. With the rail at 38 feet, though, could make it tough. You got to have some tactical speed. The 5 might be too far back. All right, 3 minutes still, race 1. I wish you all luck. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week. We were out of town this weekend, so I didn't get a chance to cover. But yeah, Gary, I like the 6 best. We'll close it with that. I like the 6 best in race 1. This is a very competitive group for anybody who just joined. I like 6-3 best. They're both the prices. The 6, I thought that Cajun Gold get over bet. They are sprinting, so the speed, the 1 and the 5, but the 5, if the 5 gets loose, could be tough. But I think there's enough speed here that this could set up going 5, and the 6 is gonna be right there. Might be able to sit the trip. Again, the 5, if they take pressure, the racing thinks this race could fall apart on the grass. You can see this 5 backs up. The 2, 6, 7 are right there. So speed always dangerous, but again, and I like the 3-6 here. So, but not a bad bet, Gary. All right, y'all. Good luck. Back to the day job. Have a great Monday, great week, and we'll see you soon.